It's Holly, and today I got somebody special with me again. I got my boy Ross with me, man. He's the owner and founder of tech company Maverick Technologies. Ross, how you feeling today, man?
Well, good, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So just talk to me about your company, man. Tell me a little about what it is that you do.
Yeah, so we're a boutique cybersecurity company. We're in the managed security service space, and then we're also in the government contracting space. So we do a lot of consulting, helping companies survive and defend themselves against cybersecurity attacks. And then we also do some things in the community, like giving back through training and things of that nature, helping people get into tech.
Nice. So it's like, it's the luxury of just problem solving for one, man, because, the cybersecurity stuff, businesses need that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you ask, because that's exactly how I think about cybersecurity as a whole, is solving problems, complex problems. But, I think the people in my staff are problem solvers at heart.
For sure. So, I always just love to see, people of color in the tech space, because that's not always like the first career of choice, that's presented to us. So talk to me about how you got into it.
I'm kind of a third generation techie.
Nice.
I didn't start out that way. I actually started out in sports management and entertainment, like managing artists and things of that nature. My parents always told me that I should get into tech and that I'd probably be good at it, but I didn't listen to them until I was probably in college. But interesting story is I was in my dorm room at UCLA in 2010. I was interning for a couple of sports agencies, and I really just didn't like the work that I was doing. And I ran a quick Google search on careers of the future, and cybersecurity came up. And then it was, the rest took off from there. I made a pivot. I think it was a Forbes article, as a matter of fact, and said that cybersecurity was the career of the future, and that, basically there's endless amounts of jobs and for the next 10 years because they don't have enough talent to fill them. And so I was like, okay. Instead of going into a crowded space, let me go into another space that's not as crowded and figure out.
For sure. So, what was some of the stuff that you was doing, though, when, you was in the sports world, like trying to do that, and you said you didn't like it? Like, what were some of the things that you was like, that made you, like, think, like, man, this ain't it?
So, I've always been a very competitive person. But when it comes to business and things of that nature, sometimes your own competition, or your own competitive spirit, I should say, can work against you. And what I realized about being in sports management is, there's only so many people or clients. There's only so much clientele that you can, work with, right? And you're competing against a large pool, and it's really a 1% business. Really, only 1%. Some say 3%, but really only 1% of agents have the clientele, right? And then everybody else is competing for the other 99%. So I just, I wasn't really interested in something that was like that, where, the margin for success is very limited. But credit to some other people who are doing it and doing well in the industry. But it just wasn't for me.
The structure definitely is like, it could be tough, like you said, especially if you're just not dealing with the 1%, because those would be the elite athletes, they'd be the, just the top of the top. In the tech industry, though, like, who are some of your inspirations, like, just in the field, like, whether it be businesses or just people in general? So
in the tech industry, inspiration, obviously, Steve Jobs is one. I always paid attention to Steve Jobs and some of the stuff that he was doing. He was going against the grain. And then Jimmy Iovine. People think of Jimmy Iovine as a music mogul, but he really made his claim to fame in tech as well. And then I would have to say my parents as well, because like I said, I'm a third generation techie. They grew up in tech, so yeah. Okay,
so so in the world of tech, though, like, what is it like networking with other people that's in the industry? Like, would you say it's a collaborative, a pro collaborative field? Because I know it's a lot of other industries and stuff, man. It's a lot of crabs in the barrel bucket mentalities and things like that. But, like, what is it like in that world?
Yeah, so tech is, the interesting thing about tech is you have to collaborate. I think when you say the word technology, or you think about technology, or even cybersecurity, I think people have like this fine-tuned aspect or perspective of what tech actually is, but it's really monolithic. And So you have to collab because there's so many different domains, there's so many different disciplines, and you can only be an expert at so much. But the way that everything works together in tech, every sum has to come together into an equal part. So you may need to rely upon somebody who has different expertise in a different domain in order to get whatever it is that you're trying to get accomplished. So collaboration in tech is definitely, something that is a need.
It's a major part.
Yeah, it's a major part. It's a necessity. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That makes all the sense, actually. So for what you do specifically, man, what kind of like certifications or education is needed, to get to this point?
So, and for specifically cybersecurity, I get asked this question all the time because I work with a lot of young kids or people trying to transition. You should definitely start with Security Plus, which is basically the foundation of security on the internet. So anybody trying to get into cybersecurity, Security Plus is definitely a start, or the CompTIA CYSA certification. That's just the foundational part. That'll get you, at least looked at, but you have to definitely pick up some other skills on the way to get good at it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you spoke on, giving back to the youth and just helping kids get into the field. What made you want to start doing that?
Just, I'm from Baltimore City, and so just knowing, the troubles and the hardships that people in Baltimore are having, that's one thing. But then also, I just remember me being a kid and not having the right direction or knowing what direction to go in terms of career and having to figure out those things. And I figured that if I would have started, maybe 10 years earlier than what I'm doing now, or at least, had somebody help guide me into doing the things that I'm doing now, that I probably would be more successful than I am now, and have, a longer journey in what I'm doing right now. So I think that's what really got me into it for the most part. But then I just like to help people.
Plain and simple.
That's plain and simple. I just like to help people.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Especially people that look like me. So
for sure,
yeah.
For sure. No, that's major, man. So I definitely salute that. I like that a lot. So, talk to me about AI. What are your thoughts on AI and its advancements, and how does it help with your business?
Yeah, so AI is definitely here to stay. Let's start with that. So if you're not incorporating AI into whatever it is that you do, you probably should start looking at that because it's here to stay and it's definitely taking over some key areas. But yeah, I think AI is it's a good thing when it's being used for good things, but it also can be used for bad. And it has a huge impact in what I do for a living because I deal with a lot of criminals, basically. We'll just leave it at that. Cyber criminals. And AI can be manipulated to do nefarious or malicious things, and it actually can help expedite the process. And so what we've seen and what I do is a lot of companies and organizations that I work with experiencing AI-based cybersecurity attacks and things of that nature. But it's one of those things. I actually have a friend that has a company that basically helps other companies train their AI and make sure that the AI models are good and not bad or not biased. She actually was, without saying too much about her, she actually was used to work and she will understand that their AI models were biased, racially biased.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. Without exposing, too much, but that. Explain that. How could that even be a thing? So, would that have to do with like the programming of how it's okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about AI and tech in general is all of this stuff is man created, right?
Right.
So inherently it has flaws, just like man has flaws. So if the person that is training the models or the AI models to what they call prompts, if that person is training the models with bias, whether it's consciously or unconsciously training it with bias, then the AI models are going to have those same bias because they're getting the information from us.
That's crazy.
And so, a friend of mine, she was one of the lead experts at. She helped them understand that AI models were biased in certain areas through testing and things of that nature.
That's crazy. Well, I hope they fix that expeditiously.
Oh, they definitely been, you know, they're working on it for sure.
That's crazy though.
That was many years ago, but I say I have to say is a lot of that is still going on with AI, and you know, racial bias is one thing, but just bias in general, you know, that's one of the pain points of AI.
For sure. No, that's crazy.
So tool for the good, tool for the bad. Yeah.
Word. Okay, so you know, as a business owner, you know, you get the luxury of controlling your time. So even though entrepreneurs often are, you know, they work extensive hours, but what does the freedom mean to you, like the time freedom?
Well, I think it's important from the aspect of is you're definitely get to allocate your time the way that you see fit. But I got to be honest with you, I'm not really in control of my time because my customers and clients control my time.
For sure.
But you know, but I do think that it is a luxury to be able to say, okay, I'm going to spend my day working on this, and I'm not working on anything else, or I will allocate more time to this than that. But I think as an entrepreneur and a CEO, that's like a discipline that you definitely have to learn.
Yeah.
No time allocation and where you need to spend the most time, and you know, because you can spend the time doing things that aren't getting you closer to your goals, and you can do it relatively quickly and unconsciously without knowing, you know.
Yeah.
So I think you really have to be conscious of where you're spending your time and, you know, what your goals are. And, you know, your goals change, you know, frequently when you're an entrepreneur, especially when it's in a growing business. So.
And I think, and that's what I was kind of like, you know, about to get at, because I wanted you to kind of like, you know, just elaborate on pretty much like the misconceptions of just business owners, entrepreneurs, just having, again, like control of your time. So you got a bunch of just free time. Well, really, that's not the case, because obviously, you know, you work extensive hours. You work, you know, and like I said, on the time of your customers and your clientele. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, it's, you know, you pretty much hit the nail right on the head of where I was trying to get at. So 100% agree.
Yeah, I don't think we have much free time. If you get into being entrepreneurship to have free time, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you are a third generation techie. So talk a little bit about that. You know, how has you know, your family just influenced your tenure in the tech industry?
Yeah, I would say, you know, in terms of that, my parents, they grew up in tech, like I said before. You know, they started out in tech in high school, vocational schools in Baltimore, you know, Carver Vocational Tech. And then my mother, for example, she was recruited out of high school to work at a national security agency. And this is like, you know, decades ago at this point, obviously. You know, people were still working on punch cards, for those of you who know what that is. But so, yeah, she was recruited out of high school at 16 to work at a national security agency. And she spent, you know, 20 years there before she started her own company with my father. They actually met each other at that school in high school, and you know, got together some time after that, and they started a tech business together. So I never really had to look outside of the home for inspiration in terms of being an entrepreneur. I always knew that, you know, whatever I ended up doing as a career, I was going to be an entrepreneur. I was going to start my own business in it, just because I grew up around entrepreneurs. So I think that's where, you know, I draw a lot of inspiration from. You know, I don't really have a lot of role models outside my own family. There's people that I look to in tech and the way that they do things and approach things that are inspiring, but the bulk of my inspiration comes from, you know, inside my own household as a kid. So
I love that. So speaking on that, and then just transitioning into fatherhood, you know. So first, congrats to you and your wife.
Thank you.
On, you know, the little one that's on the way. You know, how you preparing for that?
Hey man, you know, I'm taking it day by day. You know, this is our first child, so I'm just taking it one day at a time. You know, that's. Yeah. I've taken some classes and things of that nature on fatherhood, but you know, everybody I've talked to that's a father basically said, you know, none of that stuff really prepares you for it. They said when he gets here, because I'm having a son, you know, it's like an instinct that kicks in. So, and I think I've already felt that instinct a little bit. You know, it's definitely kicked my drive up a little bit more. You know, I already stayed up pretty late and worked pretty late, but now I stay up a little, you know, extra hours in the name of him. So.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely my reasons have changed, right? Before I was doing it for me or for us, but now I'm doing it for him. So I will say that, I got extra motivation. But yeah, as far as preparing for it, just taking it day by day, man.
Man, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Congrats again.
Thank you.
For real. So, yacht chartering, man. How's that business?
It's an interesting time for being in, I won't just say yacht chartering, in terms of, it's an interesting time to be in business for anything, rental space, hospitality. I'll just call it hospitality.
Okay, yeah.
Particularly in Miami, I feel like the market's kind of saturated.
Yeah.
When we first started that business, there were some people doing it, but it wasn't as many people doing it. So it's going well. It's going all right. But
when did you start? When did y'all start doing that?
I started doing that in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, 2019, before the pandemic.
Yeah. How many yachts y'all got in the fleet?
So the number varies because they go up and down. We onboard new people, offboard people, because we have our own yachts, but then we also, we work with other yacht owners to get theirs rented out.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's anywhere between 20 and 30 at any given time. So
see, that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to talk heavy, like 20 to 30. It ain't just 1 or 2.
It's about 20 to 30
okay.
any given time, fluctuating.
Yeah.
And it's from South Florida to, it's from South Florida to Tampa, but primarily Fort Lauderdale and Miami. So
Okay.
Miami Beach to Fort Lauderdale.
Word. And sprinters too, right? Y'all got sprinters too.
So we got a couple sprinters, yeah,
Okay.
and then we have some friends that we work with that have sprinters as well. So
Word.
that we help them get theirs rented out. Yeah.
Word. Okay. So going back to the yachts though, what do you think is the best time of the year, to go out on the water? Even though we got, it's all year round because it's still a good vibe, but.
Yeah, so I don't get out on the yachts as much as I used to, just because I'm busy with my other business. But I definitely think the wintertime in Miami, from probably November to, I would say, April, is probably, late November to April is probably the best time to go yachting in Miami. Just because the weather in Miami feels like spring in the wintertime. Summertime, it gets a little bit too hot.
Too hot, yeah. They're cooking.
Yeah, exactly. So, my favorite time of year to go on the yacht is December, though.
Okay, yeah. And that's a luxury in itself right there, because other parts of the country is freezing cold in December.
Yeah.
Word.
We like to spend the New Year's Day on the yacht, or maybe Christmas Eve on the yacht as well.
That's a vibe. That's a super vibe. We gotta connect on that, man. We're long overdue for a yacht day, so we gotta connect.
Definitely.
I'm gonna have to, grab something from you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So my God, man, is there anything else you want to leave with the people, man? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you got coming up for the year?
Man, we just our heads down right now. We're just trying to grow Maverick. Try to make it the biggest cybersecurity company in South Florida. But yeah,
just working, hustling.
Just working right now.
For the little one.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Word. Well, man, I appreciate you for coming through, man. Thank you for, stopping by, chopping it up with me. It's been a pleasure. And that's another episode, man. Thank you for watching The Sport of Luxury. I'll see you on the next one.